All right, I'm going to wait until maybe some viewers get on here. You can see about. There's just been some subjects here in rural Tennessee that have been laid on my heart uh, to be talking about suicides, homicides. Um, Trying to play around with this and kind of live stream in multiple places, so just kind of hang in there with me. All right. Mainly what I'm talking about, I feel led by the Lord to talk about the suicides and mental health issues in this county, especially in the last year. Some about my situation, what I went through, what I've had to do to actually get good mental health care, what I've dealt with growing up, avoiding the topics. We've got to stop glossing over everything. I mean, we're just not dealing with reality. If you don't deal with the present situation like it really is, then you can't do anything about it. As more people come on, I may be repeating myself a little bit, so just kind of bear with me. And I'm running YouTube and another group too. So I grew up here in Lincoln County, about seventh generation Tennessean. Went to the Lincoln County schools. I'm a survivor of PTSD, not from military service. I grew up around a military World War II vet who had both legs blown off. Kind of not had much feedback about that from them. There've been some things going on with the health of the pastor, and we were impacted right this year with from what I understand, an 18-year-old who killed himself, who was a member of our church. And people, what I've noticed is people around here, we don't actually say the word suicide. We don't say what's causing it. Mental health resources we have here in rural Tennessee is a joke. It's an. I've tried calling with the people I've joined in the last few minutes. I'm talking about suicide, mental health issues, and eventually going to be talking about murders in ways. In the past, I've tried to call Centerstone. Not at Centerstone. Not that I know of, anyways. If there's anybody out there, then hey, slap their name in the comment box. But I grew up even going to Centerstone when I was in high school. I reached out for help, even though my father didn't want me to. I guess basically what I'm talking about here is getting over the taboo of talking about mental issues and how to avoid suicide. We mainly talk about it in a religious stance of the whole debate of going to hell, not going to hell, and all of that stuff. Whenever we think we should just pray it away or pray about it, yeah, we should pray about it. And I agree with that. I firmly agree with that. But if you've got the flu, you got cancer, you got diabetes, you're not just gonna pray about it. That's what your choice is. To the passages of the Bible, faith without works is dead. James, I think chapter 12, the story is there. And I think some debate, maybe there's a different passage, debate on whether that means that we have to have good works to get into heaven, even if we are saved or born again, as some use that term. And maybe some religious sects believe you have to have good works. And that's, everybody has their choice to believe what they want. But I'm getting the interpretation, it's sort of like, if you have faith and you don't actually actively do something about your life situation, then that faith is only dead, and the mind and the logic to go do something about it. And if we put something in our life that the oncologist, you would get whatever health kind of health will help you pay for it if you don't have any or you can't afford it or whatever. But when it comes to brain diseases or diseases of the mind, what do we do? What is it that we do? We stay in the shadows. For some reason, there's half my face that's a shadow. Can't get the lighting right. We stay in the shadows. We act embarrassed, and it's really from society. I have to call what's the truth, and the truth is it's a lot of that tells us that we are less than or something's wrong with us if we have a mental illness. So why we tell people that, just because you have a mental illness that you end up killing yourself? Religious debate, I'm not really here for that part. And it's feeling like it, really talking about it, I had to wait until this local man was laid to rest. I think what I'm greatly being affected by is the fact that it's been 4 males under the age of 18 in the last year have taken their lives in some form or fashion, and just in this county. I will say, I am running for office. That's aside from this. I'm doing this on my personal page. Yeah, I'll probably put it on YouTube. Researching statistics, which everybody hates looking up or even reading because nobody likes numbers. But in the last 8, 10, 20 years, put more money and put more information out there about everything. So what we are doing is not working. That's the truth. That's, like I said, let's speak the truth here. Is to get back a little bit on my personal story. I'm a survivor of this as well. I have PTSD connected to my mom almost dying a couple times. We've all got those stories that a lot of us don't realize are affecting our day-to-day lives. We isolate. Like for me, I only go to Walmart after 10 p.m. usually. If you see me out during the day, then my anxiety's kind of lower, taught from the get-go that in school, mental health issues weren't a reason to miss school. That's why I ended up not completing high school at Lincoln County High School. Hope to God that the school systems have changed here. In reality, treating mental health issues the same as physical issues is a form of discrimination, which is still protected in this country, to not discriminate against people with health issues. Anyways, it was about I was 16 is when I started really having panic attacks. By 19, short job for panic disorder. My dorms burned in college when I was 21, or 22, had PTSD from that. We've all had those traumatic things in our life. But people aren't even taking note, or they don't even know. People aren't psychiatrists. I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not sitting here as a mental health professional. I'm sitting here as a mental health patient, trying to get people aware of what signs and symptoms to look for in themselves, in others or loved ones. So, like, I have anxiety. I have flashbacks. I read, and I'm not going to call any names of families here in town. They're grieving. We all have a right to privacy. But I noticed that someone had said that they noticed in someone who had taken their life that they had anger, and they had a family member who died a few years ago. If you look at the list of PTSD symptoms, anger is one of them. And being happy and cutting up and going and having fun on a regular basis, that's our mask. We all have our mask, multiple masks. There's the mask that we show to the world, that we show to our loved ones, and then there's our true mask of the things that nobody knows about except you and God, if you believe in God. And so simple. Either we need to become more educated, or we put our devices down, which ironically, probably you're watching me on a device, and pay attention to each other, remind each other that we care about each other. Both of my parents, their parents didn't say on a regular basis, I love you, or, the way that you show that you care is just by taking care of someone, paying bills, or making sure there's food on the table. And there's a difference between showing emotional love and our duty as a parent or a guardian. But in a way, I've always taken seriously being a guardian of my friends, watching out for them and being truthful of when someone needs to take a different action, and reaching out for mental health treatment is one of them. We don't talk about that. Most is from some type of anxiety, depression. We tell them everything that's happened in your life, or that counselor doesn't even ask. If they're not going through all to actually diagnose and ask all the appropriate questions, and you may not even know what to tell them. And then on the flip side, we have the pharmaceutical industry that is relying on everyone to use medication as a band-aid, because medication's just the way I don't have to deal with my feelings. People have come in later in this live feed talking about mental health issues, suicide, homicide, particularly in rural Tennessee where we live. But really, it doesn't matter where we're touching this from. These are issues of every human being, every religion, every race. We would see that drug use is connected to anxiety, untreated anxiety, depression, and possibly trauma and PTSD. We would see that there are more people in trouble around us than what we really realize. there's many people around us who have considered suicide. We can't seem to face it. It's our culture, it's our society, it's possibly even our religious teachings. We have to really be real about it. There again, for the people who haven't come in, I brought up James chapter 12. I forget which verses. It talks about faith without works is dead.